12 greyhounds have been found in cages stacked on top of each other with no access to food and water in a van at Dublin Port. The dogs, most of whom had raced in the last month, were on their way to Spain. The find is being investigated by Customs and the Dublin Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. We can talk now to Gillian Bird from the Society. Gillian, good morning.
Good morning.
What happened?
So Customs obviously stopped this vehicle to find that there was 12 greyhounds in the back of the van. What they did is they actually discovered the animals did have their pet passports, but there was no licence for the vehicle to actually be transporting the animals. So they actually seized the vehicle and the animals and brought them up to ourselves in the DSPCA. What we discovered when they arrived up in the shelter was we had 12 dogs in pairs in crates in the back of this van, but the van had to be fully unloaded to actually access the majority of the animals, which meant there was absolutely no way on their journey from Tipperary to Spain that they could actually have been fed or watered or taken out for exercise, because the majority, 6 of these animals, could not have been accessed without removing a lot of the boxes in the back of the van and the other crates.
So there were other boxes around them, covering them to some extent.
Yeah, it wasn't really like they were hiding them, but it was definitely that they had been packed in neatly, if you like, in the vehicle. But there was no way that they could have been accessing food or water. All the dogs had been obviously put into the vehicle with muzzles on. 2 of the dogs had removed their muzzles, so even if they had got water bowls that had water in it, the dogs wouldn't have been able to access it and wouldn't have been able to eat. Greyhounds are also very big dogs, and though the crates were a reasonable size, they would not have given the animals enough space to properly stretch out, lie down, and it's estimated that the journey would have taken at least 24 hours for them to get to their destination.
Where were the dogs from, Gillian?
They were picked up from Tipperary. We know that some of them are registered to different areas around the country. So we had dogs from Cork, we had dogs from Kerry, Wexford. So they've come from different places. We just know that they have come from a source in Tipperary, and that's under investigation at the moment.
Where were they going and why were they going there?
Well, we know they were going in a Spanish vehicle, registered vehicle, so they were going to Spain. We don't know what part of Spain they were going to. Basically, what happens is that dogs get sold on. They can be used for racing in Spain, but also one of the dogs hadn't raced since 2016, so it was most likely it was going to be used as a stud dog for breeding. Other than that, we don't know. We can only really guess and hope that they were going to somewhere that they were going to be cared for. But it's really the welfare of the animals that concerned us in the transportation, apart from anything else.
Now, all of the dogs were registered with the Irish Greyhound Board, but I understand that they don't have a role in the export of dogs and what happens to them after they go abroad. Is that right?
No, well, dogs are transported basically with their pet passport. So any dog that's leaving the country and going into Europe or into the UK must have a valid pet passport, which means they have to be microchipped, vaccinated and rabies vaxxed.
Yes.
So there is guidelines, I believe, for the Irish Greyhound Board. They have rules about the transportation. There's rules, I believe, that the animals have to be registered prior to transport, but there again, these animals weren't re-registered. Major concerns really are the basic 5 freedoms, which the animals did not have, which is access to fresh water, food, and those sort of things. So it's one of these things that, yes, we are basically saying, what is the story? We have been made promises, that we have been told that the welfare of these animals is going to be taken into consideration. We haven't seen that.
Where are the dogs now and what's going to happen to them?
Oh, the dogs are up in the DSPCA. They're enjoying themselves. We don't know. Obviously, this is all under investigation. Working greyhounds can be quite difficult to rehome, but we will do our best. And while they're in our care, they will be receiving the best treatment. And obviously, this is all pending investigation.
These are racing dogs. I mean, these dogs have raced recently, so I don't know if you know what their form is like, but they would obviously be worth some money, wouldn't they?
Yes, I was trying to work that out. I don't know how much a racing greyhound is. Obviously, it'll depend an awful lot on its parentage, where it's come from, whether it's worth it from the breeding point of view. I know some of the dogs, like 9 of the dogs had raced in the last month. 1 of them hadn't raced since 2016, and 2 of the dogs, there was no record of them ever racing. So we don't really know anything more currently about where they were going or why they were going or how much money had been paid for them.
Gillian, thank you you for speaking to us. That's Gillian Bird. She's Head of Education and Media at the Dublin Society for the Protection of Cruelty to Animals. 22 minutes past 7.